Okay, so we're doing an update video on our 05 WR450. It's been several years since I did the original video when I put the dual sport kit on it from Tusk. And this is just kind of a catch-up to see how things work out after time went by. So all in all, I would say I'm glad I did the dual sport conversion. You know, I ran some enduros, so you need to be able to get on the road for a little while to get between trail sections. I thought that was fine. Right now it's got street tires on it. Got another set over there for the dirt tires for it. Just, you know, complete wheel assembly. Just knock the axle out and put the other set of wheels in it if I'm going to go right on the dirt. These are, I want to say 90-10, 90 street, 10 dirt. The other ones are kind of the other way around, 90% dirt, 10 street as far as what they're meant for. So I'll just kind of start to the front and work our way back. What's changed maybe since we did last time? So in the original video, I probably didn't have this mirror on it. It's got kind of a neat knuckle assembly here that lets you fold it over when you're riding in the dirt and stand back up when you're in the street. You know, ball and socket assembly. It lets you adjust the tension on that. I'm very happy with that. No changes in the controls from the original video. You know, I had made a comment in the original video that I was concerned about water intrusion, dirt intrusion on these, and them being not sealed. I was right. Not having the seals in it does make them act a little flaky once in a while. Usually it's like when it's been stored over the season, you know, for winter, and when I'm not riding it, that I'll get it out in the spring and they act flaky for a little while and then they start working normally again. So not terrible, but definitely annoying. And I've been in some rainstorms where it was like near tornado weather when I was out, and with that much water coming down, it does short them out from the standpoint of I've got LED turn signals in these Tusk hand guards, which I really like, by the way. But they'll come on in a strong rainstorm. They'll just be not the brightness of when the bike was actually operating the turn signals, but there's enough current getting through it that it's enough to light them. Maybe, you know, a third of the way or something like that. So would I prefer that it wasn't like that? Yes. But even doing some looking recently, these same switches are available. I think I looked at Baja Designs recently. I thought they had the same switch assembly. You know, at least by eye, it looked like the same thing. So if somebody's got an idea of a better multi-function switch and a master switch, I'm all ears. Factory switches that are booted, you know, no problem. They work fine. I put a roll chart case on it. You know, just quickly stuck it on the crossbar. I had to give up my crossbar pad to do that. No big deal. I think in the original video I did not have this Vapor computer on it. I do like that. Probably the one annoying thing about it that I wish was different, because like right now it's got street tires on it. So if I ride it up to the local shopping center and it's after dark, when I get off the bike, this display is on. You can't turn it off. It's on a timer. And if you've got constant battery power like I do, a 12-volt power, not the watch battery that's in this thing, it leaves that display on a lot longer. So from, you know, 200 feet away in the parking lot, in a dark parking lot, your bike's sitting over there and it's got this bright glow, and it just attracts neighborhood kids to go check out your bike, which I'd prefer. You know, not that they're all going to cause a problem, but some of them might, and I don't want to attract attention, so I wish that was different, but that's how it is. Even as long as I've had this, which is certainly years at this point, I've still got the film, that kind of static cling film that comes when it's in the package. It's still on here. I've never taken it off, and it's been through, you know, mud and dirt and lots of pressure washers and all kind of stuff. This stayed on here. I'm just going to leave it there because it protects that display screen. There's not a scratch on it, even after all this time, which I can't believe it. It's got about, I want to say 9,000 miles on it right now. So it was 1,000 when I had the original odometer on it, and then another 8 since I put this computer on it. And that computer is just mounted with a flat plate. I just had a piece of scrap stainless steel in the garage. So it's a plate that's about, you know, that long and the width of the unit, or a little bit more. and I used existing screw holes that were in the back of this, and just mounted the plate, took the screws out, used the same spacing, drilled holes in the plate, and put the screws back through the plate and the unit, and that holds it fine. And then on the other end, between the handlebar clamps here, you normally have a little bit of space. The plate's thin enough, which I'm going to say it's maybe 90 thousandths thick. It fits in that gap, so it's actually pinched between these handlebar clamps, and it works fine. It's a really simple thing to mount that way. It's where I can see it. It's not going to get hit when it's in the woods. I'm really happy with it. It's the thing that I wish maybe was a little different from the factory. I understand why it is. It's got really thin wires on it because it's it's a liquid crystal display. You don't need much current, but because they're really thin, they're really fragile, and you obviously don't want them to get pinched or broke off or something while you're riding. I did put a Scott steering damper on too, so for certain riding conditions that does make sense. Like on the interstate, it's actually pretty comforting to have that stabilizer on there to help keep you from kind of wavering in the high wind at highway speeds. So other than that, this, I just had it on here temporarily. It's a battery tender voltage monitor. So I actually had a voltage regulator go bad on this recently, so I just stuck this on here temporarily. There's a SAE cable that just runs down here temporarily under the seat. Excess cable wound up here, and I'm actually plugged into my battery tender battery connection that I would normally use for charging the battery. I just, since I had the problem with the voltage regulator, I just stuck that on there temporarily. This is actually really simple. That just, plugs in. So I can just unplug it, take it with me, and leave the cable there if I'm afraid if somebody's going to take it or something. Or if I'm riding and I want to check and see whether the battery's charged or not, or what voltage is that, you just hit that button and you see it. I won't leave it there permanently. I just wanted to kind of have the comfort of riding a little bit, and with the new regulator and knowing that I was getting good charging. So the regulator that went bad was that one. This one's got stamped right on it, Terrail Tech. The one that I got before it came with the stator that I put on it from Ricky Stator, and it fried. So I had a problem both last spring and this spring with the WPS lithium battery that I had in it. I don't know why. Going into the storage season, it was fine, and then when I took it out in the springtime to run it, battery's dead and it wouldn't take a charge. It wasn't completely dead if you checked it, but it was dead enough that it wasn't functional. And I think that's, running it that way is actually what probably smoked that regulator. I don't know that for a fact, but anyways, the rest of the bike's pretty much just the way it was from the last video. I didn't have this carrier on it. I had a different license plate mount, so let's see if we can get this. And it's about the best I can do against a bright sky. So it's a stainless steel bracket that comes across and then goes up, and it's using the original screw mounts for the taillight assembly. Again, that had dual filament set up in it already from the factory. It just didn't have the wires connected. And then I put a 1/8 inch aluminum backing on the license plate itself to stiffen it up, and I used just construction subfloor adhesive to basically glue the plate onto that backing. So if I took these screws out, the plate comes off and the backing comes with the plate, and it makes it 3/16 thick, which makes it pretty sturdy. It's not flapping around back here. In the time that I've done this conversion, I lost a plate because it had vibration cracked across here where the holes were. And then the other thing, even though it's got a lot of clearance, once in a blue moon I would compress the suspension enough that that tire would catch that license plate and fold it under and mess it up. So with the street tire, obviously we're not going to be doing that, but with the dirt tire with knobs sticking straight out of it, to grab that, it would tear that plate up. So that angle works out great. It tucks in there nice. It's got an LED light on it that I got off probably off eBay. These are those pod turn signals for the back that are just adhesive mounted, and those work fine. Once I put this rack on it, which you can't really see the profile of the rack because I got this crate in its way, but once that rack was there, then I wasn't accidentally kicking these with my boot when I was getting on and off the bike, and there was no problem then. But before that, yeah, I probably ripped that light off about 6 times. Just swinging my leg over this side of the bike, I would catch that and not even know I caught it because I'd have riding boots on and it would just be gone. Again, since the last video, I put a better stator in it from Ricky Stator, and it because I didn't know what I needed for output to run any lights that I might going forward. So since it already had a charging issue and I was going to replace it, I put a better stator in it. And again, it came with the Trail Tech voltage regulator. Unfortunately, that didn't work. At least not more than 2 years, I think. I think it lasted 2 years. Another problem I did have since the last video, this wiring harness, it wasn't routed exactly right. You know, we got a lot of extra wires up here now after the dual sport kit and the computer and all that stuff. And it actually got pinched in the stops for the steering, and that obviously shorted out. So I had to rewire that, reroute that a little bit. Works fine. You know, that was just something to pay attention and catch it before it becomes a problem. But everything else that I did, I'm satisfied with. I'd buy the Tusk kit again. I would not buy, I said kit, I would buy the Tusk equipment. I would not buy the Tusk kit, because I ended up piecemealing it to do what I wanted, and then I ended up having to sell the extra things that I bought that I didn't really need. So I would recommend it. It's not without its own troubles, and like the temperature sensors and that kind of stuff that come with the computer, they're very fine wires. So just know that if you go down this road and you're working on the bike, taking the gas tank on and off, taking the carburetor on and off, taking the radiators on and off, that kind of stuff, you're moving all those really delicate wires, and if you're not careful, you're going to tear it up. I don't know if we covered it in the original video. I did put a seat concept seat on it. It's wider. It's much more comfortable than the stock seat, both from the kind of the firmness when you sit on it, as well as how wide the seat is. It's obviously wider at the back for comfort. So all in all, worked out. I just wanted to share with you where we left off, and yeah, I would do it again.